Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for being here. Friday, May 30th, probably the last episode of the week here, last show of the week, unless there's any breaking news this evening or over the weekend for your Jaguars. But we're looking at the interior of the Jacksonville Jaguars defensive line. As y'all know, Pro Football Focus, aka PFF, has been dropping top 32 rankings at each position ahead of the 2025 NFL season. So we have got rankings to look at here in regards to the Jaguars interior defensive line, and then getting us into just a bigger discussion about the Jaguars interior defensive line, what that might look like this year. Obviously, we know most of the personnel, or all of the personnel that's likely going to be there, but we're going to dive into it. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. This is also probably the last episode of May. Pretty crazy stuff there. Next week, we do have 2 OTAs, I believe, that media will be at. And then the following week, I think we're getting into mandatory minicamp. If I'm wrong on that, let me know in the comment section below. But I believe that's the upcoming schedule. So looking at PFF's interior defensive line rankings done by Trevor Sikkema, it's a top 32. And the thing about interior defensive line, more than even like a lot of positions, is there's just so much variance in what a scheme asks a player to do. So it's kind of difficult to really rank these guys, but there's essentially 64 starters on the interior of the defensive line. So if you're talking about top 32, you're talking about a guy who's top half of the starters in the league. And beyond the starters, there's probably about 100 total players who have a really high impact or big role on the interior of the defensive line for their team. I mean, there's just a lot of guys that are asked to rotate in and out and do a good job of it in the NFL. So we're going to dive into what we've got here today, roll through this list here, see where the Jaguars are, if any. So you have Chris Jones at 1, absolutely makes sense. Dexter Lawrence at 2, sure. Cam Hayward at 3. I don't know if I would still have Cam Hayward at 3. He's definitely top 10. I think I would probably put Quinnen Williams and Jalen Carter, who come in at 4 and 5, ahead of him. I understand that PFF grades might not bear that out, but if you're asking me to start a team, if you're asking me to play a game tomorrow, I'm taking Jalen Carter, Quinnen Williams over Cam Hayward. Bottom line. You've got Leonard Williams at 6, who is coming off a huge season for the Seahawks. Derek Brown for the Panthers, coming off an injury year. DeForest Buckner still there. Jeffrey Simmons probably should be a little bit higher on this list, in my opinion. Christian Wilkins, Vita Vea, Nandi Madubuike, Aleem McNeil, Milton Williams, Poona Ford, and that's a big time ranking for Poona Ford there. Calais Campbell comes in at 16. Calais Campbell should still be wearing teal. Honestly, he should be. But return to Arizona. At number 16. At number 17, Kobe Turner from the Los Angeles Rams, who obviously James Gladstone had a major hand in bringing to LA. John Franklin Myers at 18 of the Denver Broncos. And is he an interior defensive line? I mean, that's kind of one of those ones where it's like interior in a 3-4, kind of really playing against tackles more than guards. That's one of those things, right? Ed Oliver at 19, Zach Allen, similar to John Franklin Myers, at 20. Both play for the Broncos. Zach Sealer, Miami Dolphins, at 21. Very good football player. This is a really good time for interior defensive line play. There's a lot of good dudes. DJ Reader, he's dealt with some injuries for sure, but good football player. And then at 23, Arik Armstead comes in. So Arik Armstead, PFF, Trevor Sikkema writes, Armstead has moved from interior defender to edge defender throughout his career, but he plans to move back inside in 2025 to be a quote-unquote elite player once again. Trevor says he's not wrong, as he did post a near elite single season PFF overall grade, 89.6 in 2019. I don't know why we're referencing 2019 in the year 2025, but that's neither here nor there. Trevor Sikkema says he recorded just 36 quarterback pressures last season, but that could have very well stemmed from playing out of position. Absolutely it did. It stemmed from playing out of position. It stemmed from also coming off knee surgery, not a major knee surgery, but a knee surgery that took longer to recover from, took longer to rehab from, didn't really get going until well into training camp. So there was a lot going. And then just the fact that the Jaguars as a whole, most of their players underperformed a bit last year. But he referenced 2019. All you got to do is go back to 2023 when Arik Armstead was wreaking havoc as an interior pass rusher for the 49ers throughout the regular season and the playoffs. So Grover Stewart, Indianapolis Colt at 24. Absolutely, the Colts have one of the best interior duos in the league. Oso Odigizua with the Cowboys. Tavondre Sweat, Tennessee Titans. Yeah, he was a beast as a rookie. Byron Murphy for the Seahawks. Jordan Davis for the Eagles. Jonathan Allen moved over to the Minnesota Vikings. Some of y'all might not know that. Javon Hargrave also moved over to the Minnesota Vikings. Keanu Benton with the Steelers. Mora Ojomo with the Eagles will be replacing a lot of that Milton Williams production, hopefully, for the Eagles, right? But that's 32 guys. Only Jaguar coming in on this list is Arik Armstead at 23. Do I think he can outperform his number 23 ranking? Absolutely. But it's probably appropriate based on what you saw last year. It's just kind of a confusing situation. It's confusing for a lot of Jaguars players because it was such a poorly coached football team last year. Culture, X's and O's, managing rotations, where players are aligned. It was brutal. So asking players to add weight, they don't need to add. Arik Armstead, I think kicking him inside of the interior of the defensive line in a defense that I think will be much more attacking with the front. That doesn't mean they're going to blitz a whole lot more, which they might, but they're going to be a more attacking style front. They're not just asking their defensive linemen to hold the point. They're asking their defensive linemen to get upfield and shoot their shot. Mason Smith talked about that earlier this week. And speaking of Mason Smith, I think he has a very good chance to have a really nice breakout in year 2, along with Arik Armstead as these interior penetration style interior defensive linemen. Both of those guys can absolutely do that at a very high level. So I think you could have a pass rush featuring Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Arik Armstead, Mason Smith, all in the field at the same time in these clear pass rushing situations, and that could be very, very difficult for opposing offenses to deal with. And the Jaguars, they want to win with 4. They do. I think that you will see blitzes in certain situations, some big moments at times. You'll probably see some blitzes, maybe some exotic looks where you have a sim pressure. Maybe Devin Lloyd is blitzing or Foye Oluokun is blitzing and you have somebody else dropping, right? Different situations like that. I don't think it's going to be completely vanilla up front, but I don't think it's going to be like one of the heavy blitz teams in the league this year. The Jaguars, I don't think that's going to be how it's going to be. So I think you're going to see a lot of 4-man pressures. I think if those are the 4 coming with pressure, Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Arik Armstead, and Mason Smith, that could really yield some positive results. And then you talk about stopping the run on the edge. You've got guys that can stop the run with Josh and Trayvon and Emmanuel Ogbah. Interior-wise, I think Arik and Mason both have the ability to hold the point a little bit. But Devon Hamilton, I think, is going to be more of that guy you're wanting to really clog up space and disrupt things on the interior, along with Jordan Jefferson potentially, who was a 4th-round pick last year. 2 bigger, stronger guys who you're just going to be asking, I think, again, to hold the point a little bit more. Now, Devon Hamilton, he did show the ability to get upfield and kind of bully interior offensive linemen into the backfield during his peak, which was back end of 2022, getting into 2023 before he had his injury, or not really an injury, but a health scare. So, yeah, I think that you look at this group, and it has a chance to be a good group. I think it has a chance to be a very good group, especially when it comes to creating disruption. Run defense-wise, edge, feel very strongly about. Linebackers, feel very strongly about their ability to stop the run. But the interior, I do think, has a little bit to prove. Really, Devon Hamilton, if he could play at his peak, if he could get back to that level, then, yeah, they're going to be pretty solid on the interior when it comes to stopping the run. But, yeah, I think Arik Armstead probably deserves to be where he is ranked on this list. I think Mason Smith has the ability, the opportunity to get himself on this list in year two in this attacking style defense. I don't expect to see Devon or Jordan Jefferson, anybody else on the list, but I definitely think Arik Armstead could elevate himself based on the situation this year where he's not being played out of position. He's not coming off a knee injury. He is in a defense that's going to be asking him to penetrate and get upfield a lot more and shoot his shot, so to speak. So, yeah, I think he could definitely be in the mid-teens, even up to close to the top 10 in the league when it comes to interior defensive line. Depending on how you look at it, right? It's just some of these guys are asked to do such vastly different things, but I think Arik Armstead could get closer to that area of the rankings for 2026. And I think Mason Smith could get himself into this top 32 for sure. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.